Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Is $2 the new 50 cents for XRP? Here's how often XRP tested $2 since November 2024. And I'll just tell you at the outset the answer. It's 8 times. XRP has been tested at least 8 times, that $2 level, since November of 2024. And of course, there are moments where it wicked below it, but the level ended up holding, and that's where we are right now. That's just the norm. And so, look, I want to give XRP holders some perspective. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, this video, if you hang with me, it's going to highlight, in part, it's going to highlight a number of things. In part, just how much long-term holders of XRP have benefited. And I posit that XRP holders that continue to hold are likely to do incredibly well so long as we are correct and XRP continues to have long-term viability. Now, based on the fundamentals and the increased adoption of crypto as a whole, to me that seems like it's highly probable, let's say. But look, again, I want to give XRP holders some perspective because, there was a time back in 2013 when XRP traded for fractions of a penny. And that meant that XRP was wildly volatile. That's right. Trading inside of the range of 1 cent resulted in wild price swings percentage-wise. Well, think about it. Imagine buying XRP at less than a penny. Let's say you bought XRP at 0.008 cents, less than a penny, only to see it fall to 0.002 cents. That would mean that if you had invested $10,000, your XRP investment fell $7,500 all the way down to $2,500. Just because it's trading within a penny doesn't mean that you're only playing with pennies here. It depends on how much you're putting in. That's serious volatility. And that's the price range that people were living in back then, back in 2013 and 2014. And that stuff happened. That's real money that people were really risking, and times were way less certain back then. Back then, it was way more risky because, fine, some people were correct to have strong conviction, but it was way less certain. You didn't know for sure. Was this XRP thing going to stick around? Was the entire crypto asset class going to stick around? It was much more risky back then, right? And so that stuff did happen. There was a price surge in 2014, and XRP rocketed to 6 cents, from about half a penny to 6 cents, which was a 12-fold increase. That's a massive percentage gain. But it was short-lived, and, price soon fell back, actually below half a penny. But if you were to fast forward several years from there, you'd find that XRP was regularly hovering near 20 cents. And so think about that. It was regularly hanging out around half a penny literally for years, but then you fast forward several years, and then it's regularly hovering around 20 cents. Which of course isn't to say there wasn't volatility. I mean, for example, in 2018, after XRP had already hit its all-time high that year, in 2018, XRP fell to about 20 cents by early September. But then it rocketed to about 80 cents by the end of that month. But of course, it wouldn't be long until XRP again revisited 20 cents. And so that meant that if you had invested, even at that point, $10,000 into XRP, even at this much higher price range than existed in 2013 and 2014, you would have seen the value of your investment fall by $7,500 to about $2,500. I mean, it's still wild, right? It's just at a different price range. And in April 2021, the price of XRP reached $2. But not too long after that, XRP was trading below 50 cents. Yet again, this means if you had invested $10,000, the value of your investment would have fallen again to about $2,500. And so look, investing is always risky. In investing in XRP, it requires enduring extreme volatility. But there is always the opportunity for extreme reward as well. And so, a key takeaway? Well, the typical trading price for XRP continues to rise over time. Again, it used to be half a penny. It used to be 20 cents. That was the regular range you'd be around. It used to be 50 cents. And now it's $2. Now the regular price is $2. And I will not be surprised if in the future at some point the regular range is $10. Even I don't know when that might develop. I'm not but just the concept. And why couldn't it be 20? Why couldn't a regular price range way in the future be $50? Why couldn't it be higher than that? There's more than enough money on the planet to get the price up there if demand follows. That's what I'm talking about. And so, given that there's almost no humans on the planet that have, in terms of percentage of humans in crypto, given that almost no humans have invested in crypto and less than 1% of humans own XRP, don't you think if we're already seeing these prices, that if we continue to be correct, and this becomes way, way bigger than it already is, that these prices are going to look incredibly attractive to people in the future, just like we would have loved to. Like, I wish that I had known about XRP in 2013 and 2014, because the idea of buying XRP for half a penny, that's appealing. But fast forward a decade, don't you think people are probably going to be saying the same thing about the $2 price level? Just like right now, we're talking about how 50 cents, that sounded pretty good. Remember, and then before that, remember when XRP for years was hanging around 20 to 25 cents all around there? Wouldn't that have been great? I mean, yes, the answer is yes. There people are good. So my point is, those that have the intestinal fortitude to hang around and live through all this stuff, they reap the benefit. And I've been here since late 2017. I've never sold a single XRP in my entire life, but that's because I'm waiting for particular levels. I think they're coming. I think XRP is ultimately going way higher, and that's my bet. And if I'm wrong, then I lose everything and it goes to zero. But my conviction is my conviction, and I firmly believe that it is well placed. I just think this is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, right now, $2, it's the new 50 cents. Because XRP has been hanging around this for several months now in this range. We've never seen this before in history, right? And that doesn't mean it can't go lower in the short term. So on that topic, in fact, to drive a point home further, check this out. There was this post from chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto, and he wrote, Black Monday that happened in 1987 was unexpected. The majority is expecting Black Monday tomorrow, which I believe might not happen. And so I've seen lots of talk, and if you're on social media, you may have seen this as well. People speculating that because of the nature of discussions going on as it pertains to tariffs, there's going to be some massive crash tomorrow. I'm not tossing my hat in that ring. I'm not making a prediction on that. I'll note a couple things on it. Given that it's something that people are aware of, and there's already this known factor here, I don't think it makes logical sense to compare it to that. Now, if something fundamentally happened, like there's this big news event, it could drive prices down. I'm not denying that. But 1987 Black Monday, that was unexpected. That was a black swan event, effectively, right? But even if you do get something like that and say it does knock down crypto, I mean, even if it knocks down XRP a bit, so what? It doesn't change anything. And just to drive the point home further about why having a long-term mindset and investing based on fundamentals instead of what lemming retail speculators doing is the way to go. Take a look at this headline. Time capsule piece here. You got to see this. This is from March 19th of 2020. It's written by chart analyst Michael Vandepop. He used to write for Cointelegraph. Look at this headline. XRP price on final support before 6 cents? Key level holding for now. That's right. He was concerned and warning people that XRP might fall to 6 cents. Well, what was going on at the time? Well, this is in the throes of the pandemic. Check out this piece. This is just so fascinating. And now we have the benefit of hindsight. It's been over 5 years now. It doesn't really feel like that, but it's now been over 5 years. And I remember this just like it was yesterday. And so it's wild to look back on this knowing, yeah, but XRP is just actually worth way more now. Check out what he wrote here. Recently, cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin have seen a significant drop. Bitcoin was not the only crypto to see a steep fall, as other markets have seen one as well, including equities, which are down between 30% and 40%. Folks, that's right. The stock market was down between 30 to 40%. That is wild. And that happened. It was a very short-lived thing. People were concerned it was going to fall even more. But that ended up being an incredible buying opportunity, actually. And so what we've had with the tariffs, at least over the last couple of days, hasn't reached that level, though. I mean, the gains that we've had since the election obviously evaporated because of this tariff stuff. So if you look back over the last couple of months, it's been falling. But you see, some people panic sold there, and then the market just reversed. Like, it just went to the upside, which again is why I keep insisting the right way to invest is to have broad exposure and then let a ton of time pass. Like, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. Anyway, piece continues. These movements also meant a further drop in altcoins. However, some outcomes have been doing slightly better than Bitcoin in recent weeks, and one of them is XRP. Now, this is cool. So the way that they have this plugged in here, in all of their articles, if they're referencing XRP, they'll put this tag in here, and it'll show you the current price, like today, of XRP. So it shows XRP at $2.05. If you were reading this article 5 years ago, it would have shown XRP 15 cents. That's what it would have shown. And so here's a chart from the article, actually. This is from Michael Vanderpop. Here you can see XRP was 15.4 cents. That's what it was when he posted this. Wild stuff, right? Absolutely wild stuff. Anyway, so here's what he wrote about XRP specifically, though. The XRP USD chart shows many comparisons with the previous cycle, but it also indicates that the price is resting on the final support before a huge meltdown. Oh, I'm still scared. Now, we have the benefit of hindsight. We know this didn't happen, but do you see how the scary headlines hit, and it might cause some people to freak out and panic sell? This is what it does over and over and over again. For over a decade, this has been happening with XRP. Over and over and over again. The people who win are the ones who hold. Those are the people who win, period. And then he wrote, the price of XRP dropped below the support of 15 cents intra-week as it hit 10 cents, but closed above the support of 15 cents with the weekly close. Through that, XRP price is holding the 15-cent support as a significant level. Losing this area would kickstart a further drop to the next support at 6 cents. Moving towards 6 cents would cause the price to make a drop of 60%. Now, again, that never happened. It did go down to 10 cents. That's true. XRP did go down to 10 cents. And as there was blood in the street and people were freaking out, I made my cheapest XRP purchase in my entire life. I was able to snag XRP as low as 15 cents. I happily did it. I was excited about it. I talked about it on my channel at the time. And this is at the time of the pandemic, and I shared this. For those of you who are not looking at your screen, if you care to take a look, here's a post with a picture. I took a couple pictures and shared it on X on March 13th of 2020, in the throes of the pandemic, right? And this is a picture of my local Sam's Club, one of them. And I wrote, I went to a local Sam's at 2 p.m. today. There were no parking spaces, no unused shopping carts, and no produce. I do mean that literally. 0. People are fearful. This is not rational. Consider this irrationality if you're scared of the current XRP price. Won't stay like this. Now, folks, did that age well? XRP was 15 cents, and I said, this is irrational. It doesn't make sense. Look at how people are acting. It doesn't make sense. Everything's going crazy in the world. Cats becoming friends with dogs. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense, damn it. And it aged well, because now XRP is over $2, and a couple months ago it hit a new all-time high at $3.39. So yeah, I'd say that it aged well. And we're not done here. This is just normal volatility. I understand XRP is lower now than the new all-time high, but it's not going to stay here. And here's the other picture I shared in this post. That's where the shopping carts are supposed to be. There are 0. And it was just lunatics running around the store like crazy, grabbing everything that they could because of the pandemic. And it was the end of the world, except for it actually wasn't, and this was silly. It's just completely ridiculous. And so look, there's always going to be some new thing that the world's worried about. So back then it was the pandemic. Now we've got the tariff stuff spooking markets, although at least there's produce in stores now. But yeah, it's always going to be something. But the world's going to exist tomorrow, and markets come back, and stuff that scares people, these real world events, they get sorted out one way or another, even if it takes a while, and markets rebound. So again, I must insist, those people who have broad enough exposure to asset classes, including the stock market and the crypto asset class, and they just hold however long it takes, they're the ones that win. This is why I don't have a course to sell you. I have literally nothing to sell you, because you don't need a course. Have broad exposure, and then wait. I mean, that's the reduced down version of investing. Obviously, there's way more nuance to it than that. There's way more details I can throw in, and I talk about that on my channel. But in a nutshell, if I had to boil it down and have as condensed a version of what I believe is possible, that's it. Broad exposure, buy stuff, then do nothing. That's as condensed down as I can get it. And so that's not to pretend there aren't additional complexities to crypto, but in a nutshell, that is it. There are all sorts of risks to crypto. There's risks to investing, period. Of course there are. And we could be wrong and it goes to zero, but I don't think we are. I sleep easy at night because I hold my XRP. If I didn't have my XRP, then I wouldn't sleep easy at night, right? That would be different. This is just an incredibly exciting time to be an XRP holder. We are early, though. And you always feel like you're late to the game when you jump in. Just like in 2017, I was thinking, man, I wish that I would have known about XRP a few years ago. I'm only getting it at 20 cents here. First time I bought XRP was like 20 or 21 cents, something like that. I'm like, I'm only getting 21 cents. These guys, they got it at half a penny. Okay, but now it's over $2, okay? So now people wish they would have gotten it at the price that I first got it. And I'm just telling you, fast forward a decade, people will be saying the same thing, even if you're new to XRP now. It's the same freaking thing, rinse and repeat. And it doesn't mean it can't go lower, but just like I was showing you, how, you could have freaked out if XRP went from 0.008 cents, that's less than a penny already, but down to 0.002 cents, you would have freaked out, right, back then. Well, it's the same thing now. Like, what if some of the doomsday speakers out there now are right and XRP does go down to $1? Okay. Well, and look, because I said, there'll come a time when XRP will, and I said this back in 2017, there'll come a time when XRP will regularly trade within the realm of tens of cents. That wasn't a real thing. Like, that's happening now, obviously. And then it'll trade regularly within the realm of dollars, and we're kind of getting there. We're not quite to get to the point where we're regularly trading within realms of dollars, but we're seeing dollars change here, so getting closer to that. And there's no reason that you couldn't see it even further away in the future, even potentially into the tens of dollars. Like, why couldn't that happen? If we're right and this thing keeps getting adopted, sure. It's all relative. And so those people, again, that have a sufficient time frame that they're willing to invest for, if it's long, you're gonna, that's the way to win. You're gonna win. That's how it works. Unless we're wrong about certain things or there's some sort of sea change, something that we couldn't foresee. I mean, fine, yeah, there's always something like that could happen. But outside of that, it really is just, wait. And we clearly found a winner. This is the world screaming, hey, XRP makes sense. XRP is an actual winner. Investors the world over in crypto have agreed upon that. It's one of only 3 coins that has always been in the top 10 coins by market cap for its entire existence. That would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. That's it. Isn't it very clear that this is a pretty broad consensus? It's not just you, it's not just me that believes this. It's investors the world over have agreed this one makes sense. It just does. And once something like this is in place, it's very difficult to supplant this technology. Because even from a technological perspective, if something's marginally better than XRP, who cares? XRP settles in 3 to 5 seconds. So if you get a coin that settles even in a second or less than a second, who cares? Good luck getting that thing adopted when we already have this in place and it effectively does the same thing. Good luck for payments. Good luck. It's hard to supplant technology. It's already effectively real time. It's already effectively free. So I'm just saying there's lots of reasons to be optimistic. And this is a video more so about the mindset, and it's kind of fun to look back at what has happened in the past, including all this price action. But there's always going to be something that's going to spook the market. And I always viewed it as my job to just ignore that noise and then just do nothing. Like that's my job. My job is to do nothing. And for most people, that job is harder than it sounds. I don't have trouble with it, though. I just understand that people go to people, do crazy stuff, and buy all the toilet paper that exists so that there is none left in stores. Like that's a thing that happened. But, the great toilet paper crisis of 2020. But then it passes. And here we are, and it's 5 years later. Another 5 years from now, I mean, who's even going to be thinking about this terror stuff 5 years from now? It'll be something else. There'll be some new thing. Of course, there's always going to be something to be afraid of. And the market will get excited and go back up. Rinse and repeat, folks. XRP is going way higher. Just don't be surprised when one day it hits double-digit price action. I will not be surprised if that happens. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.